We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana coming up in the next hour. White House freezes funds for democratic states in shutdown slab, hits transit and green projects. Vice President J.D. Vance warns of federal worker cuts if shutdown continues. U.S. vows to defend Qatar against attacks following Israeli strikes last month. President Trump signs an executive order that will make any attack on Qatar a threat to peace and security of the U.S. India pays homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 156th birth anniversary. The day is also observed worldwide as the International Day of Non-Violence. Festival of Dussehra, also known as Vijay Dashami, is being celebrated across India with religious fervour, marking triumph of good over evil. And West Indies win toss, elects to bat first as India hosts the Islanders in the first of the two match series in Ahmedabad. First home test for India without Ashwin, Kohli and Rohit Sharma in 14 years. And on to the details now. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration on Wednesday froze $26 billion for Democratic-leaning states following through on a threat to use the government shutdown to target Democratic priorities. Well, the targeted programs included $18 billion for transit projects in New York and $8 billion for green energy projects in 16 Democratic-run states, including California and Illinois. Now, the government shut down, the 15th since 1981, suspended scientific research, financial oversight, environmental cleanup efforts, and a wide range of other activities also. Now, some 750,000 federal workers were ordered not to work, while others, such as troops and border patrol agents, began to work without pay. The Department of Veteran Affairs said it would provide burials at national cemeteries, but would not erect headstones or mow the grass. And the White House warned on Wednesday that worker layoffs are imminent as the first day of the government shutdown unfolded, even as Vice President J.D. Vance insisted no final decisions have been made. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters government agencies are already preparing for cuts. Vance acknowledged the situation could escalate quickly into layoffs if the shutdown continues, even as he said no final decision has been made about whether certain workers will be laid off or furloughed.
Well, first of all, we haven't made any final decisions about what we're going to do with certain workers. What we're saying is that we might have to take extraordinary steps, especially the longer this goes on. We're going to have to take extraordinary measures to ensure the people's government operates, again, not perfectly, because it's not going to operate perfectly in the midst of a shutdown, but operate as well as it possibly can.
Well, Democrats and Republicans have been trading blame for a U.S. government shutdown that began on Wednesday. Now, GOP leaders have gave a press conference at the U.S. Capitol, dubbed it the Schumer shutdown after Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Schumer also shot back that Republicans were lying by saying the Democrats shut the government down because they want health care funding for illegal immigrants. Republicans say a Democratic proposal would open up subsidized, affordable health care act coverage to people who are in the country illegally. That's not true, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Well, on Wednesday, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance accused Schumer of bending to far-left radicals in his party. Democratic leaders have pointed out that Republicans control both houses of Congress and the White House and say they are therefore responsible for keeping the government functioning. And for more on the shutdown, we have Akshay Dongre joining us. Well, Akshay, what are the long-term economic and political implications, if you talk about, of selectively freezing funds for Democratic-leaning states? And how might this deepen partisan divisions already there in the federal-state relations?
Well, quite an interesting question there, Lipakshi, because that's the entire news. You know, the shutdown keeps on happening. They have happened earlier as well. They happened 6 years back, they happened in 2013, and they have happened for, this is the 15th time a government shutdown like this is happening. And it's like in Indian context, if you see, it's like a stalled bill. Like,
Right.
if the government wants to allocate the budget in a certain sense for the rest of the fiscal year, when the new fiscal year starts, it's like the budget of India, and if it doesn't get passed, in the same manner, if the central government of India stops the funding of the other states just because they did not agree for the central government and their policy, that they did not vote for them. So, it's as bizarre as that. And that is what is happening in the US, that just because the US government could not secure enough votes, could not convince the Democrat politicians and secure enough votes to ensure that the budgetary allocation is done in a timely manner. And if there are disagreements, they are resolved through dialogue and discussion. And sort of making changes to the kind of implementation of budget that has been proposed by the Republicans, it would have been resolved. But what they are doing right now is going to have a long-term implication. Selectively targeting Democrat states, and that is bizarre because it doesn't usually happen like this. That targeted action will be taken against a Democrat as a punitive action for not voting for the kind of budgetary allocation. According to in the Constitution, it is made in a way that if there are disagreements, people cannot vote. That's as simple as that.
Right.
And the government's responsibility to bring others onto the table and sort of make arrangements for the allocation to be done, and then the government to keep on functioning. But now the kind of action that's being taken, speaks a lot about the kind of bipartisan rift that has been created in the US, and this is going to have long-term implications. What we are expecting at this point in time is that the Democrats may move to the Supreme Court, and if the matter goes to the Supreme Court, given the history of the court, it is likely to be struck down. But Democrats have also hinted that many a times what is happening in the US right now is that in the last term, the judges and sort of the judiciary that also has been appointed by Donald Trump is seen being more favorable to the Republican government and Trump government. That seems to be sort of a rogue democracy functioning.
Right.
It appears to be a rogue democracy functioning in the US at this point in time, with the kind of sort of threats that are being given, funds that are being cut, all because they could not secure a mandate. Back to you, Pakshi.
Right. Actually, also, given that Republicans control both Congress and the White House at the time, to what extent is it politically effective or risky for GOP leaders to shift the blame to Democrats for the shutdown?
Well, this is politics, Pakshi. It happens. If the government fails, they blame the opposition for not being able to do as they wanted to do. But that is the job of the government, to secure enough votes, to bring enough votes as mandated in the Constitution to ensure that the budgetary allocation is done. So this seems to be like a scapegoating right now, but it doesn't seem this is going to be in long-term benefit for the Republicans, because this this may become a blot on the current administration, the way they are dealing with this crisis. Back to you.
Right, Akshay, as you mentioned, it's politics. Shutdown hits transit and green projects. What does the targeting of infrastructure and the green energy funding reflect?
Well, that's another thing. It seems that in this crisis, sort of the first thing that are going to be impacted, the first sectors and the first places that are being impacted are the places that are not liked by or that are not favored rather by Donald J. Trump, the president of the US. We are talking about Democrat states that are getting funding cut. We are getting programs like green energy that are getting funding cut. We have seen Donald Trump publicly speaking about climate change as a hoax. It's saying that it's not real. So it's his personal sort of bias that's getting reflected into the actions of the US government at this point in time.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all that details. And the United States has vowed to defend Qatar against any armed attack following Israeli strikes last month. Well, President Donald Trump signed an executive order declaring that any attack on Qatar's territory, sovereignty or critical infrastructure will be considered a threat to U.S. peace and security. Now, the order, welcomed by Qatar as a milestone in bilateral defense ties, comes after Israel attempted to kill Hamas leaders in Doha, alarming Washington due to Qatar's role as host of the largest U.S. base in the region. Trump's directive authorizes diplomatic, economic and, if necessary, military action. It also requires U.S. defense officials to maintain contingency plans with Qatar, signaling an unprecedented deepening of America's security commitment in the Gulf. And Israel has announced that its forces are tightening the siege around Gaza City by extending a military corridor across the territory towards the coast. Now, the move is a part of ongoing effort to restore long-term stability to the area. Meanwhile, Hamas continues to deliberate over a peace proposal presented by U.S. President Donald Trump. The proposal was unveiled earlier this week in coordination with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The plan, aimed at ending nearly 2 years of conflict, has received support from Israel as a constructive step towards peace. Now, Trump has given Hamas a limited time frame to respond, signaling urgency in advancing a resolution. Also, the Israeli military has issued new evacuation orders for residents of Gaza City, urging them to move south. Defense Minister Israel Katz stated that the move aims to tighten the encirclement around Gaza and isolate Hamas operatives in the north. He added this is the final chance for Gaza residents to evacuate south before further military action escalates. And moving on, EU leaders on Wednesday supported initial priority flagship projects that will strengthen Europe's security, including the European drone wall and the Eastern Flank Watch. European leaders have expressed general support for the idea, but said some legal aspects of the operation would need to be clarified first. At a news conference, EU President Ursula von der Leyen said Belgium cannot be the only member state that carries the risk of using Russia's frozen assets to provide a €140 billion loan to Ukraine. Also, the European Commission has proposed the EU should use the cash balances from frozen Russian central bank securities to support Kyiv in 2026 and 2027. Now, Ukraine would only repay the loan once Russia pays reparations for the damage it has caused. Belgium, where most of the frozen assets are located, is adamant that before it agrees to the plan, it would need strong EU guarantees that it would not be left alone to deal with Moscow if the Russian assets had to be suddenly returned. And in a latest update in Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russian airstrikes cut power to Chernobyl, including the new safe confinement structure, creating an emergency situation, said Ukraine's energy ministry. Now, shelling also caused power outages in Chernihiv, impacting 307,000 customers. Generators are set up for hospitals while crews restore the network. Experts are working to restore Chernobyl's power supply, though the ministry mentioned no increased risk of radioactive release due to the cutoff. The incident comes 8 days after the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in southern Ukraine also lost power, an ongoing situation that Ukraine calls critical but that Russia says is under control. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday accused Russia of posing a threat to global security after Kyiv said a Russian shelling attack cut power to the defunct Chernobyl nuclear plant. Now, Zelensky also said Moscow was doing nothing to fix the cutoff of external power to the Russian-held Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and was taking advantage of the weak position of the International Atomic Energy Agency and its Director General, Rafael Grossi. And still to come, DD India News now. That toll from Philippines quake rises, rescue work continues. Jane Goodall, renowned scientist and conservation icon, dies at 91.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, Russia's UN Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia has stated that Moscow does not recognize the renewed United Nations sanctions imposed on Iran. Now, the announcement follows the UN's reinstatement of an arms embargo and other punitive measures against Tehran, which were triggered by European powers over concerns about Iran's nuclear activities. Nebenzia made his position clear at a press conference marking the beginning of Russia's presidency of the UN Security Council for October, saying we do not recognize the snapback as coming into force. Now, Britain, France and Germany initiated the snapback process at the UN Security Council over accusations Iran had violated a 2015 deal that aimed to stop it from developing a nuclear bomb. Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons. With the return of UN sanctions, Iran will again be subjected to an arms embargo and a ban on all uranium enrichment and reprocessing activities. Also, other sanctions to be reimposed include a travel ban on dozens of Iranian citizens, asset freezes on dozens of people and entities, and a ban on the supply of anything that could be used in the nation's nuclear program. And a migrant caravan composed mainly of Cuban and Haitian nationals departed Tapachula in southern Mexico, heading towards central Mexico in search of better opportunities. Now, migrants cited bureaucratic delays and a high cost of living as key reasons for their departure. Migration in the region has increased over the years due to ongoing political instability and violence in several Latin American and Caribbean countries. Many migrants see Mexico as both a temporary refuge and a gateway to the United States, despite the challenges they face along the way. And authorities in Argentina cooperating with Peru to extradite the suspected mastermind behind a brutal triple homicide that has shocked the nation. The case involves the murder of 3 young women whose bodies were found buried in the garden in Buenos Aires province on September 19th. Officials said the victims were tortured and the act was live-streamed to a closed online group. The Argentine Minister of Security, Patricia Bullrich, said 9 individuals have been arrested so far, including suspects detained in Bolivia and Peru. He added all involved, including dozens who allegedly viewed the live stream, could face the maximum penalty under the law. And a powerful explosion shook a New York City Housing Authority building in the Bronx on Wednesday morning, causing a larger section of the high-rise to collapse. The blast left a massive hole in the 20-story building at 205 Alexander Avenue in the Mitchell Houses complex, sending bricks, air conditioners and debris crashing down onto the streets. Officials confirmed that no one was injured. Firefighters rushed to the spot with drones, dogs and heavy equipment to check if anyone was trapped under the rubble. Out of caution, other apartments inside the building were evacuated, while other residents were allowed to return once inspections were completed. However, gas service has been shut off across the entire complex while crews assess safety. Officials assured residents that the structural integrity of the building is being closely impacted. And Madagascar protest continued on Wednesday for the 5th consecutive day, representing the largest demonstration in years and the most serious challenge to President Rajoelina since his 2023 re-election. Initially sparked by water shortages and power blackouts in the capital, Antananarivo, the youth-led protests have spread nationwide. Police pushed crowds back in an effort to hamper the protest action. Despite Rajoelina dissolving the government on Monday, demonstrators are now demanding his resignation and the dissolution of key government institutions. Also, Rajoelina on Wednesday evening organized a meeting at the presidential palace with foreign diplomats. The government has rejected the tally as unverified and based on rumors or misinformation. And as the upcoming leadership election to choose a replacement for outgoing Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba looms, two candidates from Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party have taken center stage. Now, according to the domestic polling and political analysis, lawmakers Sene Takaichi and Shinjiro Koizumi are the leading contenders favoured by both the public and party. Among other candidates in the race are Chief Cabinet Secretary Hayashi, Foreign Minister Tohimitsu Motegi and former Economic Security Minister Kobayashi. Whoever wins the vote of the party, which has governed Japan nearly continuously since its founding in 1955, will be tasked with having to pull the LDP out of its current political slump. And some international updates more now. The death toll from a magnitude 6.9 earthquake that struck off the central Philippines on Tuesday has risen to 72. Another 294 people were injured. The earthquake struck the region of Suminep. Aftershock continued throughout Wednesday as authorities set up mobile kitchens for hundreds of evacuees and raced to provide temporary power as night approached. The shallow quake struck waters off the central island of Cebu late at night, damaging power lines, bridges and multiple buildings, including a church that was more than 100 years old. The Philippines lies in the Pacific Ring of Fire, where volcanic activity and earthquakes are very common. And around 59 people remain trapped under the ruins of a collapsed school on Indonesia's main island of Java that struck on 30th of September. Rescuers pulled 5 survivors from the rubble on Wednesday as frantic parents demanded stronger efforts to find dozens of children believed to be still trapped. Investigations into the cause of the collapse are ongoing, but initial signs point to substandard construction. Spokesman for the National Disaster and Mitigation Agency, Muhari, said the figure was based on an attendance list released by the multi-story boarding school, which gave way suddenly on Monday as students gathered for afternoon prayers, killing at least 5 people. And Australia's mushroom murderer Erin Patterson will appeal her guilty verdict for killing 3 people with toxic mushrooms, her lawyer told a court on Thursday. Patterson's lawyer, Richard Edney, told an administrative hearing at Victoria Supreme Court his client intended to appeal against conviction. Her legal team will have 28 days to lodge the relevant documents before a court considers whether to approve the appeal. Earlier, Patterson was sentenced to life in jail after a jury found her guilty of killing 3 relatives and attempting to kill another by serving them a toxic beef Wellington laced with poison mushroom. She maintained her innocence during the 11-week-long trial, claiming that the disastrous meal had been an accident. And scientist and global activist Jane Goodall on Wednesday died at age 91 after dedicating her life to bettering human understanding of animal behavior. In a social media post, the Jane Goodall Institute said Goodall died of natural causes. She also threw the public into the wild, partnering with the National Geographic Society to bring her beloved chimps into their lives through film, TV and magazines. A prolific author, she published more than 30 books with her observations, including her 1999 bestseller Reason for Hope, a spiritual journey, as well as a dozen aimed at children. And Venezuela began its Christmas celebrations unusually early for the 2nd year in a row with the fireworks display launched from El Helicoide to country's largest prison, known for housing political opponents of President Nicolas Maduro. Now, the early holiday kick-off was first announced in early September amid rising tensions between Venezuela and the United States. Well, President Maduro claimed the move was intended to bring joy and hope to the Venezuelan people during challenging times. The U.S. has recently intensified pressure on Maduro's regime, doubling the reward for information leading to his arrest to $50 million, deploying warships off Venezuela's coast and sinking a vessel it claimed was linked to a drug trafficking gang controlled by Maduro, resulting in 11 deaths. In 2024, Maduro similarly launched early Christmas festivities during a period of political turmoil following a disputed election widely condemned as fraudulent by opposition leaders in the U.S. government. And still to come in DD India News Hour. India celebrates the birth anniversary of its second Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri on October 2nd every year.
Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures, and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high-quality content from every corner of the globe, focusing on the stories that shape our future. We don't just report news. We connect you to India's voice in the global narrative. From current affairs to culture, from economic growth to sustainable development, and the ever-evolving world order, DD India gives you a comprehensive view of the world around us. Stay connected, stay informed, and embrace the stories that shape our lives. DD India. India's voice to the world.
Gandhi's legions rose against the British.
Across oceans, across time. Message of Mahatma Gandhi still travels from streets of India to the world's stage. Truth finds its way. Watch Gandhi's influence from India to global peace movements. 2nd October, 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. White House freezes funds for Democratic states and shutdown slap hits transit and green projects. Vice President J.D. Vance warns of federal worker cuts if shutdown continues. U.S. vows to defend Qatar against attacks following Israeli strikes last month. President Trump signs an executive order that will make any attack on Qatar a threat to peace and security of the U.S. India pays homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 156th birth anniversary. The day is also observed worldwide as the International Day of Non-Violence. Festival of Dussehra, also known as Vijay Dashami, is being celebrated across India with religious fervour, marking triumph of good over evil. And moving on, India pays homage to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 156th birth anniversary today. Popularly known as Bapu, Gandhiji was a social activist, politician and lawyer who championed non-violent resistance against British colonial rule. He played a pivotal role in his freedom struggle. The nation observes his birth anniversary, commemorating his legacy of non-violence, truth and simplicity. The day is observed with prayer services, commemorative events and cleanliness drives across the country. Also, President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with other dignitaries, paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi at his memorial Rajghat on his birth anniversary today. This year marks the 156th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, remembered as the father of the nation for his pivotal role in India's freedom struggle. October 2nd is celebrated as Gandhi Jayanti in India, while across the globe it is observed as the International Day of Non-Violence, following a 2007 United Nations resolution that received support from over 140 countries. Well, Gandhiji presented Khadi as a symbol of nationalism, equality and self-reliance. Khadi is not just any other fabric, it symbolizes hard work, deep emotion and Atmanirbharta, or self-reliance in its truest form. It reflects the spirit of a rising Bharat and reminds us how traditional values are powering modern growth. Watch this report by our correspondent Siddharth Bharadwaj.
India is scaling a new chapter, hitting new milestones, setting benchmark and proudly walking toward the path of Atmanirbharta or self-reliance. And in this glorious journey, everyone, every citizen is contributing equally, pledging vocal for local for a stronger nation. And what I'm wearing today is Khadi, the pride of Bharat. Behind this fabric are thousands of stories, thousands of emotions of our weavers. This is more than a fabric. This is a movement.
From the ramparts of Red Fort, PM Narendra Modi reiterated the importance of self-reliance, highlighting its significance and calling for an end to dependency.
आत्मनिर्भरता का नाता हमारे सामर्थ्य से जुड़ा हुआ और जब आत्मनिर्भरता खत्म होने लगती है तो सामर्थ्य भी निरंतर क्षीण होता जाता है और इसलिए हमारे सामर्थ्य को बचाए रखने, बनाए रखने और बढ़ाए रखने के लिए आत्मनिर्भर होना बहुत अनिवार्य है.
In his 126th monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat, PM Modi talked about how the charm of Khadi has gained popularity in the past 11 years.
साथियों, 2 अक्टूबर को गांधी जयंती है. गांधी जी ने हमेशा स्वदेशी को अपनाने पर बल दिया और उसमें खादी सबसे प्रमुख थी. दुर्भाग्य से आजादी के बाद खादी की रौनक कुछ फीकी पड़ती जा रही थी, लेकिन बीते 11 साल में खादी के प्रति देश के लोगों का आकर्षण बहुत बढ़ गया है. पिछले कुछ वर्षों में खादी की बिक्री में बहुत तेजी देखी गई है. मैं आप सभी से आग्रह करता हूं कि 2 अक्टूबर को कोई न कोई खादी प्रोडक्ट जरूर खरीदें.
People are truly mesmerized by this fabric. Many say it evokes a deep sense of patriotism and pride when they wear Khadi. And well, Khadi now comes in different colors, designs to make sure you stay stylish while staying connected to your roots.
खादी का कलेक्शन इतना अच्छा होता है और खादी में इतना वैरायटी होती है, इतनी डिज़ाइनिंग होती है ना, बहुत पसंद आता है. कलमकारी हो गया, जैसे कि बहुत सारा डिज़ाइनिंग है, साड़ी, सूट और कुर्ती, सभी में बहुत अच्छा होता है सर.
मैं यूज़ करने के साथ साथ मैं लोगों को और भी बोलना चाहता हूँ कि फ्यूचर में ये हमारे देश का प्रोडक्ट है, तो खुद ही सब लोग आके एटलीस्ट खादी को आके इनकरेज करें और अपने देश का ही जो प्रोडक्ट है उसको आप उपयोग करें.
जब से हमारे पीएम साहब मोदी जी ने इसके बारे में कहा है, तब से तो हमारी सेल और ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है और उनके कहने से उनके तो युवा भी मतलब यहाँ खरीदने के लिए आता है सर.
Let's take a look at how Khadi has witnessed a surge in both production and sales. Khadi and village industries crossed 1.7 lakh crore rupees turnover in 2024-25. Sales rose 447% from 31,154 crore rupees in 2013-14 to 1,70,551 crore rupees in 2024-25. Production jumped 347% from 26,109 crore rupees to 1,16,600 crore rupees in the same period. KVIC now supports 1.94 crore jobs, reflecting a 49% increase over 11 years. Khadi craftsmen's wages grew 213% from 4 to 12.5 rupees per lacha, which is thread bundle. Khadi Gram Udyog Bhavan, New Delhi, touched a record 110 crore rupees sales for the first time. Khadi is steadily entering every home, connecting the nation with threads of pride and joy.
So when we talk about Bharat's development, Atmanirbharta is the new mantra. And this festival season, buy Swadeshi and be vocal for local. With camera person Aniket, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj for DD India in New Delhi.
Well, India also celebrates the birth anniversary of its second Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri on October 2nd every year. Known for his integrity and contributions to the independence movement, military leadership during the 1965 India-Pakistan war, he coined the famous slogan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Hail the soldier, Hail the farmer. Now, Shastri also promoted the Green Revolution, advocating for scientific farming practices to boost food production and propel India towards self-sufficiency. On this day, Indians honor his life, leadership and the values he stood for. President Murmu, Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan and Prime Minister Modi paid floral tributes to former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri at his memorial Vijay Ghat in New Delhi this morning. Lal Bahadur Shastri, deeply influenced by Gandhi's teachings, rose from humble beginnings to become the Prime Minister and was widely admired for his simplicity, honesty and ability to connect with the common people. His legacy continues to inspire India's pursuit of self-reliance and progress. And also on 2nd October 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Swachh Bharat mission across the entire country. Initiated as a national movement on the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, the mission aims to promote cleanliness, eliminate open defecation and improve solid waste management across urban and rural India. DD India's Princey Yadav reports for more.
On 2nd October 2014, brooms swept across dusty lanes, plastic bottles were hauled from the drains, and the wave of determination spread across every corner of India. The Swachh Bharat mission, launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, was far more than a cleanliness campaign. It was a nationwide awakening call with the promise of a cleaner future. Swachhata Hi Seva 2025 themed Swachhotsav is the latest chapter in this journey, which is uniting citizens, leaders and sanitation workers for cleaner and greener India. The campaign is also driving behavioral change at the grassroots level.
It's not just about cleaning once a year, it's about change in habits. I have seen Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is shaping students into tomorrow's responsible citizens. They are collecting their own trash and using dustbins and spreading awareness among themselves and in their communities also.
Numerous stories of change are unfolding across India. 12 crore toilets have been built, reducing open defecation. Significant improvement in public health, especially for women and children. Nearly 3 lakh under 5 child deaths prevented due to better sanitation. Over 8 lakh cleanliness target units were transformed in 2024, turning garbage dumps into usable spaces. Jammu and Kashmir Amarnath Yatra 2025 became a zero landfill pilgrimage. Kumbhi Kagaz startups in Assam are transforming the invasive water hyacinth into chemical-free handmade paper. Uttar Pradesh's Kuberpur dump site is now an integrated waste management city with forests and processing units. These efforts are steering India towards a sustainable, inclusive and developed Bharat by 2047.
What began as a call for cleaner streets is now shaping the discourse on public health, women's dignity and the responsibility towards environment. Swachh Bharat mission is reminding us that cleanliness is not someone else's job. It starts with you and me. With cameraman Manmohan, Princey Yadav for DD India.
And Dussehra, also known as Vijay Dashami, is also being observed across the country today. Dussehra, one of the most sacred Hindu festivals, celebrates the eternal triumph of good over evil, wisdom over ignorance and righteousness over immorality. Deeply rooted in mythology and spirituality, the festival honors both Lord Rama's victory over Ravan and Goddess Durga's triumph over Mahishasur. Beyond its cultural and religious relevance, Dussehra also carries profound astrological significance, as it is considered one of the most auspicious times of the year to begin new endeavors, strengthen spiritual practices and invite divine blessings for prosperity. President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan and Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings to the countrymen on the occasion of Vijay Dashami today. Well, the grand festival of Dussehra also marks the culmination of the 9-day-long Navratri celebrations, observed with devotion, fasting and rituals in honor of Goddess Durga. As the vibrant festival of Durga Puja draws to a close, a striking tradition known as Sindoor Khela transforms pandals across West Bengal into a haze of scarlet and joy. On the final day, the air thickens with the smoke of incense and the resonant sound of conch shells as women gather brass plates laden with vermilion powder and sweets to bid farewell to Goddess Durga. From fairs and cultural performances to processions in towns and cities, the festival culminates the Navratri journey. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends greetings on Vijay Dashami. On social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi expressed, as I quote, Vijay Dashami celebrates the triumph of good and righteousness over evil and falsehood. May courage, wisdom and devotion always guide our paths. Wishing my fellow Indians a happy Vijay Dashami, unquote. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Defending champions Australia thrashed Trans-Tasman rivals New Zealand in their ICC Women's World Cup opening match.
The US launched a bombing campaign against Iran. The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipak Shikuran, and on to some business news now. Wall Street's main stock indexes rose on Wednesday with strong support from the healthcare sector despite weaker than expected private payrolls data and uncertainty around the first day of the US federal government shutdown. Now, after opening lower, all three main US indexes advanced. The S&P 500 gained 0.34%, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.42%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.09%. And tech shares rallied on Thursday, driving Asia's stock indexes higher while gold hovered near a record high. Chip sector shares were prominent in leading Japan's Nikkei to gains of about 0.5%. Taiwan's tech heavy bourse jumped 1.5%, while South Korea's Kospi shot up by 2.8% after chip heavyweights Samsung and Hynix inked partnerships to supply OpenAI data centers. Now, Hong Kong's Hang Seng added 0.5%. Gold paused for a breath, last changing hands at around $3,865. And billionaire Elon Musk, the world's richest person, is nearly halfway to becoming the planet's first trillionaire. This was reported by Forbes magazine on Wednesday. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO became the first person to achieve a net worth of $500 billion briefly as the shares in his electric vehicle company rebound amid other gains. The 54-year-old's net worth hit $500.1 billion on Wednesday before dipping back to $499.1 billion. Ranked after him are Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, followed by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg on the Forbes list. While you're watching DD India News, our time now for some sports news. Defending champions Australia thrash Trans-Tasman rivals New Zealand by 89 runs in the ICC Women's World Cup opening match on Wednesday. Seasoned all-rounder Ashleigh Gardner's commanding century and disciplined effort from the bowlers helped the Aussies begin their quest for 8th title in spectacular fashion. Well, Gardner struck her second ODI century to revive Australia from a mini collapse and take them to a big total of 326 all out in 49.3 overs after opting to bat first. Pacer Annabelle Sutherland and spin duo of Alana King and Sophie Molyneux were among the wickets as Australia restricted New Zealand to 237 in 43.2 overs to notch a comprehensive win. And tennis great Roger Federer leads the list of nominees announced on Wednesday for the International Tennis Hall of Fame's class of 2026. He was the first man to win 20 Grand Slam single titles and ushered in an era of unprecedented greatness with younger rivals Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. Well, Federer won 103 trophies in 1,251 matches in singles. Totals surpassed among men only by Jimmy Connors in the Open era, which began in 1968. Now, at the height of his powers, Federer reached a record 10 consecutive Grand Slam finals from 2005 to 2007, capturing 8 titles in that span. And India's test journey under captain Shubman Gill at home began today against a depleted West Indies in Ahmedabad. West Indies captain Roston Chase won the toss and opted to bat first. Windies didn't have kind of start they expected. They lost both their openers cheaply, with Taganarine Chanderpaul falling for a duck, while John Campbell could only contribute 8 runs. Kuldeep Yadav is back in the Indian test team as India have named an 11 with 3 spinners. And in India, even a draw is viewed as a defeat, and the scars of their last home series lost to New Zealand still lingers. With World Test Championship points on the line and South Africa's tour looming in November, India cannot afford a slip-up. Moreover, this is about the start of a new era for Team India, with this being the first home test in well over a decade to not feature Ravichandran Ashwin, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane and Cheteshwar Pujara, all of whom were regulars in the side that established their invincibility in India. And DD India's Narayan Singh now joins us for more on the match. Well, Narayan, India strikes early. India, in fact, continues its winning streak, and West Indies seem to be in trouble now.
Definitely, Pakshi. If you take a look at both the sides, there is no contest in terms of the quality cricket and the class. If you take a look in the recent past, West Indies suffered many setbacks, especially take a look, their last pink ball test match, they were bundled out in Kingston for 27 all out. So they are just surviving. They are trying to just be there in this format of the game and just trying to survive and just try to fix their future in the longest format of the game. And talking about the latest T20 derby against the Nepal, it was also another setback for this West Indies side. So they need to assemble themselves, and here is an opportunity for them to play against the best in the world cricket, that is the Indian cricket team. So all in all, it will be going to be a difficult task for them, considering the fact that their bowlers too don't have their quality pace bowlers, because Shamar Joseph and Alzaris Joseph both were not in the squad. So it will be difficult for them to contain this Indian side, and the way India started their innings in this first test on day one, West Indies are 4 wickets down, and Mohammad Siraj taken 3 crucial wickets. So it will be difficult for them to sustain here. But apart from that, we can say that India has a chance to consolidate their position, especially in the World Test Championship final, after their first series of the World Test Championship cycle ended in a draw against England. Here, 24 points are on the table, and they can just capture those crucial points, because after that they have more tougher assignments. So it is an opportunity for the Team India, an opportunity for the Shubman Gill to establish his legacy. But right now, in terms of the two teams, if you take a look, there is a big gulf in the quality and the class of cricket.
Right. Also, Narayan, with India fielding a relatively young and transitional squad right now, led by Shubman Gill, and missing stalwarts like Kohli, Rohit and Ashwin for the first time in more than a decade, how do you assess the team's readiness to maintain its dominance at home?
Definitely, if you take a look at the previous series that we lost against the New Zealand, where Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli were there. After that, they were retired from the format, and definitely here a new look side, but they showed that they have the capability inside them under Shubman Gill, the way they performed and draw the 5-match series against England in the English condition. It was a very nail-biting series between the two teams, and it looked like that. Shubman Gill, the way he performed in the England was exceptional, and he showed the world his arrival as a captain of the Indian cricket team. Here they can continue, the team in whole continue the things they have set up in the previous series, in the test series against England. If you take a look at this Indian team, they have the fantastic opener in the form of KL Rahul, Yashasvi Jaiswal, and number 3 Sai Sudarshan is there. After that, the captain Shubman Gill comes, and down the order there a deep batting lineup. Rishabh Pant is not playing because of a toe fracture, but still we have a deep batting lineup, and they have the capability to dominate the world right now with the class of player, with the form, with the kind of cricket they are playing. All in all, we can say it's early to say how they will go and perform in the future, but they have showed the glimpse of the class in the series against the England, and they have the capability to dominate the world cricket. If you take a look at the past few seasons, India also dominated the World Test Championship cycle because they have the world-class players, and now the Gen X of the Indian cricket, definitely they are performing. We know that Yashasvi Jaiswal's talent and KL Rahul's form, the kind of cricket they played in England, they will try to replicate that thing. And here, I think that definitely it will also help them to just sort out their best for the upcoming series, where the tougher assignments will be there against South Africa.
Absolutely, Narayan. The Indian team showing its clear dominance. And given the depleted state of the West Indies side and India's spin-heavy attack, what kind of statement does this series offer Shubman Gill as a leader in shaping the next era of Indian Test cricket?
Shilpakshi, if we talk about this Indian cricket team, definitely there is a big problem. There is plenty of problems. We have so much talent that it also difficult for the management to give a chance to them. If you take a look at recently concluded Asia Cup, where India won the series, we have at least 34 players. We can make a bench. We can make a playing 11 of the players who are left out. 2 playing 11s. If you take a look at Asia Cup, there we don't have Yashasvi Jaiswal, there was no Shreyas Iyer, there was no Prasidh Krishna. So in this series also, if there is a multiple headaches for the selectors. Today, if Akshar Patel is not in the scheme of things, Prasidh Krishna is not there. So it is also difficult for the management to how to just use their resources, how to just make a perfect playing 11. But all in all, we can see it's a happy headache for the Team India that our domestic structure of the cricket is so strong. We have the Ranji Trophy, we have the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, we have the many more domestic tournaments with gifts of the world-class players. So that's why we are hoping that in future, India is going to dominate under the leadership of Shubman Gill with the many class and quality players.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Narayan, for all those details. And India's Vinay Pratap Singh Chandravat clinched the bronze medal in the trap event at the ISSF Junior World Cup in Delhi. In an exclusive conversation with DD India correspondent Narayan Singh, he said that the competition at the Junior World Cup was highly challenging and he's now aiming to secure medals at senior level events.
Another fantastic performance by the Indian shooter at the, we can say that the international level, and right now I am joined by Vinay Chandravat, who won bronze in the shotgun event. Vinay, congratulations for winning a bronze medal. So the competition was quite stiff. It was neck and neck. We saw that the competition was going even from the Spain and the Croatia, the way they were fighting.
From India also.
So how you look the level of competition here?
It's very tough here in these conditions. Earlier it was so raining badly, and I can't believe I have hit 25 and in this day 48 total and in final. So it is very good feeling for me and proud moment for my nation.
Take a look at the Indian shooting journey this year too. In the Asian Championship in China, we won 99 medals. Here too, we are leading the medal table. So how overall you look the performance of the Indian shooter at the various international events?
Yeah, this is increasing day by day in the rifle and pistol events, but not that good in shotgun. But now in skeet, we have won 2 medals, silver and bronze, and in now trap also. So, and tomorrow's mixed team, we'll see more medals over there.
You have been here at the international level, the Junior World Cup. So what was the learning curve for you here? What you learned, especially the level of competition was very tough?
I've learned a lot of things, how to handle pressure and how to focus on the targets. I can't just believe that happened today. So it was so a proud moment for me and my nation.
So what's the next target after winning a medal at the junior level, Junior World Cup? So what are you eyeing next?
Now the next my target is national and trials. Then again World Cups and World Championship for the next year.
So definitely Vinay here targeting the senior level competition and also the World Cup and the World Championship, the way he performed here, hoping that definitely he will turn the color of the medal in the upcoming events. With camera person Vishwabandhu, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.